Are you tired of hearing mental health from a superficial view and want to hear about realistic views? Well, you come to the right place, a space where healing is central, but also normalized. Your hosts, Danica and Myra, who are in the mental health field, will explore topics that help promote healing in your everyday life. Through our podcast, you will get the real and the work to focus on your healing. Welcome to Black Women Healing Podcast. And we have our guest, Latoya. So, Latoya, we always start off with a random scenario before we kind of get into things. Are you ready for this random scenario?
I don't know. Yes, I think so. Okay, yes, I'm ready.
Okay. Random scenario. I've been having these thoughts of like when you have to be stuck with something. Okay, so say if you had to watch the same movie over, and I think I've seen this on a meme. If you had to watch one movie for a week, and it was the only movie you could watch, and you had to keep watching something, what movie would it be?
Hands down, Love and Basketball. That's my favorite movie.
One of those.
Yes.
My boyfriend asked me about the jerseys, and I was like, do we have to wear this?
I love Sanaa Lathan. She's a really good actress.
Definitely.
And I played basketball in high school, so it kind of resonates, and I can, understand it, so I can watch it every day, not get tired.
Nice.
That's for sure one of those movies that you just like, let it go. It can keep on playing it over and over.
Right.
Yeah? So, Myra, what about you? What's your movie?
My movie would be Where the Heart Is. A lot of people don't know about that movie. It's basically about this girl. You know about it?
Yes.
What?
Go ahead.
Somebody knows about this movie. That's my favorite movie.
I love that movie too.
It's so good. Whenever I tell people about it, they be like, what are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I love that movie.
It's where she has the baby in the store, right?
In Walmart, yeah.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I haven't seen that in so long.
I know, me either. I love that movie. Actually.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm so shocked. People never know what I'm talking about.
A lot of people don't know about the movie, though, I will admit, because anytime I be forgetting the name until I hear it. Mm-hmm. I'm like, the one movie, the tornado, they don't know.
I love
Probably the first answer is like Twister. Like, no.
Not that right.
What about you, Danica?
I'm thinking like something that's long, so we can, get this time kind of going by. I would say The Temptations, because The Temptations is long.
That's good.
And I like the songs, and you kind of have some music kind of going. So I'll say The Temptations.
That's a smart choice.
Yeah, right, that's a good. At least you'll be able to dance the whole entire time.
True.
Love that. And she loves to dance, so it works out perfectly.
Perfect.
All right, y'all. So today's guest is Latoya. Latoya is an author, speaker, and inner healing coach. Her goal is to help women post-abortion break the cycles of self-sabotage so they can experience healing in their relationships. Latoya does work via her one-on-one coaching program, retreat, and speaking engagement, and we are so happy to have her today. So let's go ahead and dive in and have you tell us about your journey to become an inner healing coach, and just tell us a little bit about yourself. What should we know about you?
Okay. Well, like you said, my name is Latoya Mathews, and I am an author, transformational speaker, and an inner healing coach. And never did I think I would be an inner healing coach. Of course, at the age of 18, I found myself pregnant, getting ready to start college. I had a choice between a basketball scholarship and a tennis scholarship. And I was just like, I just have so much going on right now, and I didn't have a good situation at home. So I was like, this is going to be my best thing to do. And so I found myself, going to the abortion clinic and having an abortion, and just walking in, just being alone at that time and sitting in the lobby, just again, alone, and filling out this paperwork by myself with no one there, with me, waiting for my name to be called. And after the procedure, found myself going shopping. I don't know who does that, but I went shopping after having my procedure to get ready for my freshman year in college. And so that's kind of where my journey began after that moment, that night when I had my breakdown, just crying and just asking God, I can't, believe what I just did. And just really asking myself, like, what did you just do? And so kind of fast forward, I now have a 12-year-old daughter, which I love. And she's like, everybody says she's like Latoya Jr. So, that's good. And so, and I'm married. I've been married. This year will be 14 years to my loving husband. And just God has been so good. So, that's just a little bit about me.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And y'all can find her. There's not very many people out there that are supportive in this time that women may be going through. So I suggest you reach out to her. She's easy to find on Instagram. And thank you for sharing your story, because you didn't have to do that. You could have just skipped over that part. But thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So with Mother's Day coming up, it could possibly be hard for some of our listeners, whether it be loss of a mother or other reasons, but we want to focus on those who have had this experience we're talking about today. So what are some ways those who have had this experience can support themselves on a holiday where they aren't really acknowledged?
And we're in a time that is really different than what a normal holiday would look like. Mm-hmm. And so I would suggest a woman being able to support herself during a holiday time is really learning how to celebrate herself, because I don't think us as women, no matter what we go through, celebrate ourselves enough. So just taking time, whether it be by yourself, cooking yourself dinner, running that bubble bath, just getting that relaxation time, whether, if you need to cry, if you want to dance, but just find a way to really support yourself, by yourself. Mm-hmm. But if you have that community of people, we're in a quarantine time right now. So with the holiday approaching, find those that you are very close to, that don't have a problem with your decision, and having a virtual Mother's Day get together. Mm-hmm. Just really being able to get that support that you need for yourself. And one of the things that I would also say is, we don't do this enough either, but if you're having a hard time, write a letter, like a confession of the heart type deal, or to the unborn, writing a letter on Mother's Day of how you may feel, because writing that letter could be the very thing that release what you've been holding on to.
I appreciate you saying that. Just a little transparency. So I have done some work with Latoya. So that is how she came onto this podcast. And we only had one conversation. And from that conversation, what she kept talking about was community. And I think that really stuck with me, because she kept letting me know and reminding me that if you feel like someone is not supportive of your decision and they might trigger you, then you really need to reflect, take some time. What do I need to do for myself? Whether that be, and she didn't give me any straightforward answer, but she was really consider what you need to do in that situation. And so for me, what that looked like was kind of backing off a little bit. Rather than having phone calls with certain people, it would be text messages. And so I just wanted to thank you for that. And I noticed you really pushed community and the importance of that and examining your community. And I feel like that is important, because it was what I needed to hear from you. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. And community is very important to me, because even when I had my procedure, I remember telling someone that I thought was a friend, and she went and told someone else. So that just kind of broke all the trust that I had and caused me to go into isolation, and kind of like a hermit crab going into a shell. I just kind of started protecting myself. And I just knew the way I felt, I didn't want other women to have to go through the same thing. Just knowing that they didn't have anyone that they can go to and not have that community, and to have that confidentiality that's necessary at times like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What are the most common ways that you've maybe seen women deal with guilt and shame around abortions?
Whew. Even for myself, some of the ways that I have seen and I've heard other women say is the isolation, putting up a wall, just guarding themselves. Because when you build that wall, you wall yourself in. And so it's like you want to protect yourself. So you find yourself sabotaging relationships because you think everybody is out against you. And, I've even heard women, they get jealous and envious because they're kind of stuck where they seem like they're stuck, but all their friends and everyone else is just kind of moving on with life. And they're wondering why can't I move on? What's wrong with me? And then of course you have the shame and the guilt and the regret and just feeling like a failure, like you failed the child that you gave up. And so those are some of the things that really people deal with.
Definitely. And that also makes me think about, for me, in my experience, when I would see other people pregnant, it was very triggering. Or when I see people like post their pictures of their babies, like those were experiences where I'd be so excited. Whereas now I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, did you have to post that? And it's just like, again, like their life is going on. In my life, I still felt stuck. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Like you question a lot of things and you feel like, I don't know how I feel. Like, what is this?
Right. And then you're like, you have some women, just like you just said, it's a trigger and they're like, I really don't want to be around kids. You almost kind of feel like something's wrong with you for not wanting to be, around kids, but it's just a trigger. And sometimes you feel that way because, like you said, you don't really know how to deal with it. And when you don't know how to deal with it, you kind of your behavior kind of changes toward situations and the thoughts that you have.
Yeah, definitely. Donica, did you want to ask anything or say anything?
No, I just think that like the guilt and shame feeling makes me think about how it probably comes in different waves.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe not immediately, maybe like even a year or a few years later, you might start noticing that, that guilt feeling's coming up and maybe it wasn't there first, or maybe it went away and it came back. So it's like this wave of guilt and shame.
Right, because you'll always have a trigger, and then you even have women that feel guilty for not feeling regretful. And that's okay. You don't have to feel regretful for the decision that you made. And they start feeling guilty because they don't feel like they think they should feel.
Yeah.
Should I feel guilty because I don't really feel bad about this. But that's okay. You don't have to feel bad about that. And, you don't only get the shame and guilt because of the decision, but you also get the guilt and shame because you don't feel a certain way, like everybody, or like you think you should feel.
Yeah, for sure. Transitioning into our next question, we were curious about like how your mind is affected after it experiences these bodily changes. And I know that's something I had talked to you about because I was like, I'm so confused because I've always been so small, and then I kind of just like blew up. Well, what was blowing up to me, and it was just confusing. So I kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit.
When it comes to like with your mind and your body changes and things like that, you have a series of different things that usually happen. Of course, one is like your hormones are out of whack, because I think now procedures are done differently from what they were how they usually were done. Mm-hmm. And so the pills that they give you kind of make your hormones out of whack. And some people bleed for a length of time and some people don't. And so, and then also the guilt and shame plays a part in that too, because I can remember after I had my procedure for like 7 or 8 years, there would be this pain that I had in my stomach, like the lower part of my stomach. Mm-hmm. And it was almost just kind of like a reminder, like a punishment for what I had done. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until my pastor she had us to read The True Measure of a Woman by Lisa Bevere. And there was 2 questions in that book. And it was like, what is it in your closet that you need to clean out? And what do you have to offer to other people? And so I knew this was like God telling me that it was about time for me to stop hiding and start to get the healing that I need. And I said that one thing I needed to clean out was my abortion. But then when it said, what do you have to offer to other people? I said, I remember writing, crying, just saying, I don't have anything to offer to anybody. Like I didn't feel valuable. And then, but it wasn't until I went to my pastor and we had the conversation after reading that chapter. And I told her that I had prayed every night, you know, dealing with the pain in my stomach. And I prayed every night asking God to forgive me every day for like 7 or 8 years. I prayed every day. And finally she said, when you prayed the very first time, God heard you. And it was like immediately when she said that, I've never had any pain anymore in my stomach.
Wow.
And it was just like when the unforgiveness piece and the things that we think mentally affects our body, which affects the hormones, which causes things to be out of balance. Because I even know of women who have shared that because of their decision and what they think of themselves, they're not able to conceive. They think God is punishing them because they can't have children. And so that mind body piece, you're going through so many things. And it's so true that, you know, what the Bible says, what a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So if you think you're a bad person, it begins to affect how you feel about yourself, how you look at yourself, and it affects how your body functions. And so if you're thinking negative, you're going to have all these negative things that happen that you start to feel in your body.
I appreciate you saying that because I kept telling myself that I was sick. And I just kept saying, I feel sick. I feel, I can't remember the other word. And I would just feel it in my stomach. Like every day, my stomach always hurt. And then my back was always hurting. But it was like a stomach ache where it was like, it just felt like it was never going to go away. I was like, what is that? Like, and I started thinking, it's because I keep saying like, I'm sick. Because what I did was sick. I made a sick choice. And so now my body is feeling sick. And so I really had to reflect and be like, Myra, like, you really got to take some time and pause and really, and I did a lot of like praying about it and like releasing it. And I feel like me releasing that I'm sick, I started feeling a lot better. So I appreciate you like highlighting that because I hadn't even like put those two together.
Right? Because, you know, just like running water, as long as water is running, you know, it's fresh, right? But once it comes to a standstill, it starts building up all this stuff and toxins and stuff. And the same thing with our bodies. Those negative thoughts create toxins in our body. And when we think about the shame and the guilt and we're beating ourselves up, that's eating away, you know, at our insides. And so, you know, I know people who have, you know, you gain weight, you eat because, again, your hormones are out of balance, but you're also thinking these things about you and you're like, guilt eating or shame eating and things like that.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you so much for bringing awareness to that piece of it. Because I think sometimes that, we don't think about it and people are not aware that not only like mentally, but like physically your body is going through a transition. And also how you talk about how the mind and the body plays a very strong part of working together for the healing of it. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why being around people, your support system and having that community is so important. Because it's my duty, I feel like, to reaffirm you, to let you know you're still a good person. We've all fallen short. We have all made mistakes. And I need to extend that same grace and mercy that's been extended to me so that you can get to where you want to be in life, get the healing that you need. Because as long as you're sitting by yourself, then those thoughts are just going to run through your mind.
Absolutely. I know we kind of already been talking about different ways to begin the journey of healing, but if you can kind of center on like your thoughts of what are some ways one even begins their journey to healing, that would be great.
Some ways that women can begin their journey, but I know the first step is really taking the time to honestly take accountability for what's been done. It's been done. you know, no matter what the reason was, we did that, and just being honest with yourself. Because like for me and so many other women that I've, spoken with, we begin to rationalize and say, the situation with my family wasn't well, or I wasn't in the right environment, or I didn't want to have a child with this guy. We begin to rationalize, but then we have to take accountability and say, you know what? I did what I did, and it's okay. Mm-hmm. Now it's time for me to take ownership and begin to get the healing that I need. And the only way that you can get that is by wanting it. There's a quote that says, and I may misquote it, but it says that when you're ready to learn, the teacher will appear. And when you're ready to heal, the person that is meant to help you will show up. And that all comes from self-awareness. We can continue to sit there and let it happen, or we can begin to take steps. And when you make the first step, then doors will be open for you to get what you need. And I think that's so important, with that, and also just being open. Because like, even for me, it was, I had someone that I didn't trust, but I needed to know also that there are other people out there that can be trusted. And so I built the wall, but now I had to tear the wall down by faith and trust that and know that I live in a world that's not perfect. People are going to hurt me, but I need to learn how to navigate through that and see how I can get through that. So it's all about being open and just being ready to take the step, regardless of what you think is going to happen. Just trust the process.
Oh, that's some powerful words, Miss Latoya.
I feel like you laid that out so simply too. Like, it wasn't anything too big or too hard to grasp. It was just take accountability and start moving.
Move.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What are some things, Latoya, you think you would remind people that you would say to remind yourself daily as you're going through this journey?
Well, I have I have a coach, and she gave me what she calls prescription affirmations. And that's just making affirmations from scripture. So, just saying, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am not where I want to be, but I'm still moving. Just saying that, just reaffirming who I am. But I just want to make it clear that Band-Aids affirmations are not Band-Aids. They're not just there to cover up a wound. You still have to do the work. And so that's, one of the things, just really reaffirming myself, waking up and being able to embrace who I am and not looking in the mirror saying, I really don't like this person that I see, but just making a step to say, I love everything about you. Speaking to myself in the mirror, I love everything about you, Latoya. You're still a good person, Latoya. Just reaffirming yourself. And one of the other things that I had to do was just really pray and ask God to give me eyes to see myself as He saw me. Because when everybody else can see something in you, but if you don't see it for yourself, it's hard for you to grasp it. And so I really had to just, again, it came down to community and just having people that wouldn't let me settle, wouldn't let me and back myself back into that corner. And I didn't want to be back, in that place. And still, it all just boils down to community and just having my husband, my pastor, just really not let me be who I used to be.
Yeah.
That was powerful. I feel like I would have at a loss for words. I'm at a loss for words. I like how you said, I like the part about seeing you how God sees you. Because I feel like, God sees us as perfect. And oftentimes we're so hard on ourselves that we don't see ourselves as any other way besides how we see ourselves.
Exactly.
So even take the time to try and view yourself in that light can be so difficult. But I feel like once you do it, I feel like you can move mountains and do some stuff.
Exactly, because you can't move beyond the opinion that you have of yourself.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. You can't move beyond what what you see and what you think about yourself. And I just want to say that it's just so important also that if you know anybody that has had an abortion, reaffirm them. Let them know that they're still a good person. Let them know that you're there for them. You may not even have to say anything. They may not want you to say anything, but just be there. And your presence, just being there, reaffirms that they're in a safe place.
Yeah.
Definitely. So at the end of our episode, we always ask our guests if they have any takeaways for our listeners. So do you have any takeaways?
I do. I have so many, but one of the takeaways that I really would like to leave with the listeners is just know that it is possible to get the healing that you need. And we spoke on this earlier, but just be open to the possibility. Allow yourself permission to dream and envision what life would look like if you took the step to get the healing that you need. Because we still have to live our life, but we can live our life while healing. It's not two separate things. I don't live life and get healing separate. I can still live my life and heal. I can still start my business and heal. I can still write my book and heal. Remember that you can still live life and heal at the same time.
Nice. Danica, do you have anything to add?
No, I love your presence, Latoya. I feel it. It's very common, and then also just like the things that you are saying, like Myra was kind of like speaking on is very like realistic. Where you're not speaking a whole bunch of like jargon at me or to our listeners. Like it's understandable and it feels real.
Thank you. Yes, that's one of my things, because I was just like, when I was unhealed, I always wished to have like the big words and be like, this eloquent person. But God was like, nah, sis, that's not for you. I need you to just be simple, make it plain so that my people can understand it.
Yes, that's all. That's all we really want we just want to understand. We don't want people to sound a certain way.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for your time, and we'll be dropping this episode next week.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me. It's been amazing.
Of course. I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you.
So, y'all, Myra had this idea that we kind of share what we've been listening to as far as music-wise, and I was trying to let her know I listen to music every day. I'm an R&B head, mainly like old school, right? But what I've been listening to is this artist. Her name is Inaya Lemes. I think that's how you pronounce it. She got this song called Sugar Daddy. And she pretty much story tells in all her songs, like, and she can really sing, but it's basically about her having a sugar daddy, but the song is dope. That's my song. So that's something I like listen to every day. What about you, Myra?
So besides, I honestly listen to trap music. If they talk about gangbanging and drug dealing, that's what I love doing. But on another note, I'm not gonna talk about that. So
talk about it. Talk about it. Because I know.
A lot of people don't know. So when they get in my car, they just be like, oh my goodness. Like one of my friends is just like, can we please listen to R&B? Like, can we not listen to trap music? And I was like, okay. But yeah, but what I've been listening to lately, so besides the trap music, I love Sade, Stevie Wonder, Earth, Wind, and Fire. That's typically what I listen to.
You a soul. You got soul.
I love soul music. Like it does, especially when you sing it out loud. Like I was telling my friend, just look up an NDRE song and sing it out loud, and you just have like this whole experience. Like it's unlike any other. Yeah. But since this is a healing podcast, I want to talk about Jhené Aiko's album. And you can go on her Instagram, and she breaks down how each song touches on different chakras. So she utilized like sound bowl healing for her music. And so, for example, her song Triggered, It's supposed to help with the third eye chakra and with the root chakra. And then her other song, Pussy Fairy, which is really popular, that one is also for the sacral chakra and the third eye chakra. So it's supposed to like get you in the mood. That's the sacral chakra is, you know, down there. So that's supposed to like help you feel good when it comes to pleasure. And then the third eye chakra. But yeah, you can go on her Instagram and she kind of like breaks it down, which is really, really cool. Cause I was like, I feel things when I listen to her music, but I feel like I feel things in all songs. So when she posted this, I was like, okay, I'm not tripping. So yeah, I would definitely look that up.
That's deep. I didn't even know that about her, that album. And she just got that. Like you said, every time I listen to any of her songs, I really do feel something. So it's nice to kind of have like a guide, like to kind of be like, okay, is this what's kind of going on?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm a big Jhené Aiko fan. Like, I love all her music. So yeah. Did you listen to her last album?
No, I just know little songs here and there, but for sure that Trigger song, every woman, especially Black woman, was triggered. Like everybody, right? But you also, Myra, you gotta go ahead and tell us your favorite trap song too. We want to know.
So I love some Young Dolph. I love Gucci Mane. But let me think.
Gucci, you a Gucci fan?
So I was just telling my boyfriend, I was like, as soon as Gucci Mane got out of jail, he was at the club and I was in that thing. Like, I love Gucci Mane.
I like his old stuff. That's funny.
I was shocked, but like, yeah, I love. So there's, if y'all have Spotify, it's this thing called Rap Caviar, and it basically like puts out like all the new hot music at the time. So I stay on Rap Caviar. If you go through my music, you would think I'm crazy. Cause it's just like so along the spectrum. It's like very chill music, then it's just like trap music. But I'm trying to think what would be like my favorite. I don't know. I like One Take J.
One Take J.
Yeah, ghetto ass music, but I love it. I'm trying to think what's a song I like. So Kaylin for real, he has a song called Baby. I like that song. It's
Kaylin for real.
Yeah, he actually went to SDSU. So I know
is his stuff on like Tidal or is it on like SoundCloud?
I think it's on everything.
Oh snap! Let me put some of this stuff on my phone. Okay, I ain't never heard the Kaylin for real. You say he went to SDSU?
He was a year behind me.
Wow.
Okay, so my all-time favorite trap artists or rap artists would be RJ, which is like, if you're from LA, like you know who RJ is. It's very, very ratchet music. But yeah.
Oh, let me search. It's just RJ?
RJ Mr. LA.
Oh.
Yeah. He came to San Diego 3 times within a course of 1 month. Why did I go all 3 times?
And so you be going to these club appearances and concerts too.
And it's so funny when I run into people, they'd be like, "You listen to this?" And I just be like, "Yeah."
I gotta see this. I'm just imagining you like at a Gucci Mane concert talking about what is like Bird?
Girl, I was front row. I think I like lost my friends because I was so close to the stage. Yeah, I was like, no, he just got out of jail. Like, Oh, and by the way, we're talking about Gucci Mane. People were on my head because I said I prefer his book over Becoming, and I'm going to still stand strong and say I still love Gucci Mane's autobiography over Becoming. What you gonna do?
Girl, I gotta go read the autobiography. Maybe that's the book. Y'all go read the book, y'all.
It's very well written. It's a great book. I just struggle with, and drop a comment or leave us a message, a DM, something about how y'all felt about Becoming, because I did not enjoy it. I enjoyed the Netflix series or the Netflix.
Something is with Michelle Obama, right?
Yeah. If you want to see, read it. But if you want to have something that's going to intrigue you, anything Maya Angelou, anything Gucci Mane. There you
go.
Gotta bounce it out.
Right. Yeah. So thank y'all for listening today. We know it could be a sensitive topic. Doesn't always have to be, but we want to normalize these types of topics, and we also want to validate our audience and listeners to know that you're not in it by yourself. And you can reach out to us. You can reach out to Latoya. Like, we're here for y'all.
Most definitely. All right, y'all. That's it for this week's episode, and we'll talk with y'all later.